Hello class. So here today I'm gonna demo packaging part 1 dieline. Okay. Here's how I usually create my this is the demo how I create my dieline. I usually will draw from scratch so that I can do alteration in the size, and I will use a lot of transform panel. So if you don't find a transform panel, you can go to window and then you can find transform here. Okay, first I'm going to explain what I'm going to do today. I'm going to do a packaging for tea bag, in a box of 30 sachet. Okay, I have a sample of a pack of tea bag here at my home, so I'm going to follow this size. From the measurement I get from this tea bag of mine, it is measured at 65 width and 70 height. Okay, so this is the size 65-80. So I like to use the transform panel because I can get all the numbers here. Okay, so I'm just gonna roughly explain how I'm gonna do my tea bag first lah. So I'm gonna place sachet of tea bags into a drawer box. So it's called slide box or drawer box, but the template I have here is not in the rightful size. You can see this is very thin. I mean, as in the height is lower. But here my sachet is going to stand up, so it's going to be much taller. So I'm going to alter the size. So here's how it's going to go. So my width of the sachet, which is here to here, would be the width of the tea bag size. Okay, so this is 65. Of course, here at this point, I'm not going to call the box as the width already, because that's the width of the tea bag size. So generally, we will look at the box in a way, because I'm going to make it height also. This will be the front view, and I'm going to call this width, this height, and this is depth. So this is actually depth. Okay, always remember, for packaging, it's 3-dimension box, so it's not only just width and height. Don't forget the depth. Okay, so the width is going to be, I measured my pack about 30 sachet. This can fit in we can fit at 100 mm, about 10 cm box lah, not too big. And then I have with that and the height of the box. Okay, now the box here look very little tiny height, but my height is going to be 80. But oh yeah, I'm not going to put exactly 80. Okay, even though my tea bag size 80, I need to make sure my box is slightly bigger so that the tea bag can slide in easily, slide in and out easily. If I'm going to do exact size, then I'm going to squeeze it in. So I'm going to put here 85, and I'm going to put here 70. So it's like a little bit extra space so that it's easy to take out the products. Okay, so this is my size for my box. This is a rough how the dieline will look like, how the template will look like, but I'm not going to trace on this because the size is not accurate. I'm going to customize the size for my tea bag. So I'm going to start everything with the base. Start everything with this base. Okay, this side. So I already have my measurement here, so it's easy for me to know. Firstly, I'm gonna start with 70 and 100. Can you see that? 100 times 70, that will be the base. Maybe I should put my measurement here instead. Now you can understand. So 170, that will be the base. Okay, then I'm gonna work side view, and top. Okay, so let's work on one side, and then the rest we can kind of like reflect, duplicate and reflect. So the side will be 100 and oops, this is height. So the height would be 85. So okay, for me, I usually will duplicate. Otherwise, I will copy and paste on the same spot. Okay, copy, Control C, copy. Okay, and then when I paste in the same place, paste in place, Command Shift V. Okay, Command Shift V. I paste it in the same spot. I would drag. When I do this, I'm very sure that this end is accurate at the same spot. Okay, all I need to adjust is the width. Okay, then I come to transform to get the number right. So I will use this reference points. I will click on the left hand side, meaning the left hand side is same position, lock the position, and then the right hand side will change the position. Okay, 185. Here goes 85. Okay, so you will notice this is a very low box, but I'm going to do a very high box. Similarly, height 2 times, meaning the wall of the paper have twice. So I'm going to copy this. Surely you can duplicate, and you can see the word intersect. I have my smart guide on. If you don't want your smart guide or you want your smart guide, come here to turn it on. Okay, and there goes 2 side and 1 extra space here. I call it some sort of like the flag. This one, the flag would be placed as a part of the lock system of the box, so you don't have to kind of like glue things. So Control C, Control C, Control Shift V, and here. Usually I put my flag about like 15 mm. I feel 10 is a bit too little, so 15 will be good. And press my free transform, and I get that corner. Okay, come back to the base. I have 2 more at the bottom. So same, Control C, Control Shift V. Oops, wrong. This one. Control C, Control Shift V. I'm going to drag downwards. And when I go downwards, it's still the height of the box. Okay, so the width or the depth is the same of the 70, but this is going to change. So let me lock my reference point at the top, lock, then the bottom will move. This one is 85. So 85 will be the depth. So you will notice my box is like very high. Okay, I'm going to copy this. Kind of same theory when you have this here and then this 2 side and then 1 flap. 2 side and goes, yeah, the flap. 50 here. There I have that. Surely I need another flap here, isn't it? When you're gonna fold in. So I'm gonna copy this one, Control C, Control Shift V, and there it goes. 85. It's a square. I'm going to modify this a little bit compared to this version, because this version is kind of long. Mine is so big. Alright, so we're going to make a center fold. Okay, I'm going to this a pen tool and draw a line across, and this line will be a 45 degree, so you can actually press your shift key though, you will get that 45 degree. And this is actually my fold line, so I'm gonna make that a something more recognized for you because otherwise later you're gonna cut this out. I'm just gonna put this as a fold line so easier to recognize. Then I'm gonna change this this part. I cannot have it too much on a square side. I need to have a trapezium for the fold, or not when it folds it's gonna come up. So here I'm gonna move this point. As long as this point sits on the fold line, any part of the fold line, okay, you can go in or come out, but I don't suggest to go too in depth because the space will be too little. Okay, the area will be too little. So I'm gonna just put there. Okay, later we're gonna fold that in. Okay, so this one I'm going to group it. So this is basic structure of my box now, and if you notice, this is the reverse or the reflect mirror of this, and this is the mirror of this. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna mirror them. So I'm gonna take this part, group first, gonna come to reflect here, and well, now I'm just gonna press somewhere in the middle. Okay, by holding Option key or alternate key for PC. If you can get the center point like this, it will be much easier. If you want to come and see the skeleton view, you can come to view. You can either preview or view outline. If you have this outline, you can come here. You can see the word center. That's the smart guide. So very good. I have the smart guide to help me. Cursor there at the center. Press Option key or alternate key for PC. Click, and I can reflect. Okay, you can reflect horizontally, vertically. For sure now I want to do vertically, and press copy. There you go. Okay, so let me move this aside. Okay, I'm going to reflect the other side. So ungroup and regroup this part. Okay, so similarly, press reflect tool, come back to the center, cursor center, press Option key, click, and there goes. I'm gonna press horizontal, so you're gonna flip the other side, copy. Okay, so let me turn back to preview version. Okay, so if you can see, that's how the box will look like, kind of like a cross sign, and this is a folding area. Okay, so that's why I'm not going to trace this. I'm kind of like getting an idea or understanding this dieline, and I modify it based on mine, and you can see it's totally different. It's totally different because of my tip bag size. Of course, I also modify this area. Otherwise, if I wanted to follow this, then this part would look like that. Generally, this part is to slot it under, so I cannot have it too long. So it's just going to be short like this if I follow. So it's not going to look very effective in this way because my box have a very high height. Okay, so that's why I modify this part. Okay. I think later when I do my other parts, especially on folding and cutting, that will be part 3. I will you will kind of like understand better. This is the area we need to tuck it in underneath. So yep, this will be the base of the drawer. Let me group this. And I have this part which is the box or drawer. For this box or drawer, I also have an idea for the kind of modification I want to do. It is because the paper I have is kind of like thin. Not to say thin, it's still a cardboard, but my box have 2 layers. But my drawer here is my drawer box is gonna be 2 layered. I mean the walls are 2 layered. Okay, meaning you can see here one part of the wall, and then you got another part of the wall, 2 layered. So it's going to be very strong drawer, but I'm not going to have a very strong outer frame or the outer paper structure because it's only 1 layer. So I'm going to modify it a little to make it stronger. But generally the box looks like that, same. I'm going to have my size here again, 170. 170 is just my base, and then I have the side wall again. Control C, Control Shift V, and the side height is 85. Oops, before I change the size, I make sure I lock the left hand side, the right hand side will flow. 85. So if you notice, it's like thin white. Okay, so I'm gonna duplicate. Okay, intersect, that would be good. Just cross check if I get it right. Okay, nicely aligned. I've got thin white, and then I need one more, which is the glue area. Yes, this part we will glue. So I'm gonna do Ctrl C, Ctrl Shift V, and similarly I have 15. And I'm gonna do transform the edges. Okay, so this part will be the glue area. Okay, so generally this is the box that I have modified, inspired by this drawer box. There's one thing in this case very special for a box that have 2 layers. Why? Because this drawer is going to slide inside this sleeve. Okay, this is the sleeve, this is the drawer. This drawer needs to be slightly smaller in order to go inside this sleeve, isn't it? If it's gonna be the same size, then you can go in. Okay, so I'm gonna shrink this a little smaller. But before I shrink it, I make sure I keep the original, just in case. So this one, I'm gonna keep it. Let's just type here original size, so that I know lah. Okay. Just gonna put it here. So usually I'll just label them lah, so that I know what's happening. Okay, this one I'm gonna shrink it slightly smaller. I'm just gonna scale tool in order to fit inside the sleeve. Generally we will go like 2 mm smaller, or you can make the sleeve 2 mm bigger. 2 mm bigger in each of the depth, height and width, but I'm so lazy to calculate, right? So what I'm going to do is a little bit a shortcut. I'm just going to uniformly scale 99 or 98% depending on the paper thickness. If I have a very thick paper, maybe it could go to 97, but now I'm gonna do 98. Okay, and press OK. So this is 98%. Alright, so just how I'm gonna label usually, so I know what's happening here. Yep, and you remember I mentioned I'm gonna modify this a little so that it will be easier to pull it out, having a little thickness to this sleeve. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make the sleeves, the corner double layered, so you know it become a place where we can pull it out, you know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. Okay, let me group first, then I'm duplicating extra, then I'm going to fold it in. Okay, so this extra not going to be that high, lock at the bottom. Let me try at 20. Yep. What about 30? Yeah, 30. There's a tiny modification that I'm gonna do for my packaging. Okay, I think you will understand better after I kind of like do the part 3 when I cut and paste, when we really fold up the structure. Okay, this template I'm kind of like inspired by the rigid box lah. Okay, generally we will fold inner for the box area to have a thicker touch point at the edges of the sleeve. Okay, generally we will also need to have some sort of like slight curve at each of the layer for us to cut out. Generally will look like this at every one of them. So but I felt that is a hard way for me to do all the way around, right? So usually I'll just go to the printing there and then cut it out manually myself. Well, if you want me to do it, I'll do it in another way. I call it again a shortcut way. I'm gonna put a 3 triangle here. Well, it's not gonna be that big. I'm gonna do it smaller like that. So it looks kind of same, right? So this is my shortcut way lah. Instead of creating those all across, so I'm just gonna copy this. Later we're gonna cut out the area. Okay, just as a small area for measurement. Well, maybe 2 is good enough lah. I'm looking at 3 now, it's like so thick. Yeah, proportionally this looks better, right? Okay, so I'm gonna take that away. Group. Again, I'm gonna reflect tool. And the center here, well, just click somewhere, don't worry. We still can align, copy, like intersect. Yep. Okay, so this triangle area we're going to cut it off. Okay, looks good. So this is the part 1 packaging timeline. Surely every one of you have different boxes, different structure, but the main thing I'm teaching here is how to modify the size according to what you want. And I always use the transform panel, so that's why I'm teaching here using transform panel. Surely you work on your structure instead. Okay, that's all for part 1. See you at part 2.